This is Toon Talk Weekly, episode 241. This week, Brad and I try to stop some evil cats from killing Grandma when we watch an episode of the series Grandma's Cats Are Trying to Kill Her.
Louis, my darling sugar dumps.
It's Lucas, Grandma.
Well, Lucas, Grandma, time for me to make some bubbles in the bath. Oh, would you be a dear and feed the kiddos for me?
I take that back. It's not entirely awesome. These cats, dude, I think they're trying to kill my grandma. Seriously, I've caught them using Grandma as a scratching post, dropping a dead rat in her mouth, and taking a dump in her cereal. Today's been the first quiet day in a week. Fire on!
The day just keeps getting better.
Boy. Where is that kid?
Hey everyone, it's Tuesday once again. That means it's time for another episode of the weekly cartoon podcast, Toon Talk Weekly. Thanks once again for joining us. That's this show you're listening to today. I'm Jake Williams, not the only voice you're going to hear today. Brought along, as always, my good friend, Brad Chmielewski. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well, dude. I feel like we talk every day because we work together, so.
Yeah, so just another day, but this time, instead of talking about the animation we're doing, we're talking about the animation other people are doing.
Yeah, it's just that in my head, I'm always like, I should have some witty, how has your week been, Brad? And but I know how it's been because we already talked. So I try to change up the intro in my head. What you guys see is probably the same intro, and here is probably the same intro every single week. But in my head and behind these eyes is fear and panic.
No,
It's all unsure of what's going on.
But no cartoons really for me this week besides this one we're going to talk about on this episode. Yeah, I think, there was like one new episode of OKKO on the Cartoon Network app. So that was the only cartoon besides this that I watched this week.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of same for me. This week, as Brad mentioned, I guess we can never I always try to keep it close to the chest, but then it's like right there in the title. So if you're watching the video version or downloaded the thing, you know what it's about.
It's in the thumbnail of the video.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no secret here. You guys know what we talked about this week. We watched a series called Grandma's Cats Are Trying to Kill Her is the subtitle. So I guess by slang, this would just go by Grandma's Cats. Is what we would call it from now on. But yeah, I didn't watch a ton. However, got a little short, long, I guess, short vacation, but long weekend coming up. And I fully intend on having time to relax and just watch stuff, including cartoons. So that should be fun. And want to let you guys know that in 2 weeks, the plan is to have a guest on to talk about a cartoon that we've kind of been holding off on, really, you could say, since we started, because it has quite a history. And so there's quite a lot there. We're not really sure where to even begin. It's definitely a show that we grew up watching as kids. But we have a local friend out in Chicago who is really into the art and animation and stuff on this show. So we're hoping tentatively we have in a couple weeks that episode should be focused on that, and it should be fun. Little trio. We haven't done that in a while. I don't think since Harmon
Yeah, it's been a
Quest.
little bit, so that should be good.
Yeah, so that should be exciting. So look out for that. And as always, I should mention at the top of the show, because I feel like I bury it at the beginning of the show for you guys. If you want to let us know what you think of any episodes, toontalkweekly@gmail.com is the email you can send any questions, comments, thoughts you have. We got a lot of positive response on our episode last week covering MTV's 1995 series, The Max. A lot of it being brought up that some of the stuff we talked about, the mixed media in it was actually a really cool thing, and actually some of the best stuff. And considering it was almost 15 years ago, it still holds up. It was really good.
Yeah. Or if you have cartoons you want to recommend that we haven't talked about in these, 200 and something episodes we've done.
Yeah, Yeah, for sure. toontalkweekly@gmail.com, the place to send any recommendations, any of that kind of stuff. Because we've been trending new lately. So if you're not a fan of any of the new cartoons, that's the stuff we felt like watching. If there's some older stuff you want, some obscure stuff you want us to dig into, hit us up over there. Of course, at Toon Talk Weekly on Twitter is probably the easiest social place to send us comments as well. So I just wanted to put that at the top of the show for you guys because, I'm a podcaster, but I also listen to podcasts. I know what it's like. You get to the end of the show. Oh, they're signing off. Okay, next podcast.
Yeah, they're wrapping up. They're giving all their socials. I'm out. I don't want to hear this. I already know. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's even if someone says emails, I'm like, oh, I'm out of here. I can't do an hour email segment. What's going on? So let's talk a little bit about this series this week. We dug up called Grandma's Cats Are Trying to Kill Her. It's a 2015 series. If you guys want to watch streaming episodes of it, I think a handful of them are actually on YouTube because these are actually very short micro episodes of a cartoon. They're about 2 minutes in length. And of that, it feels like the title cards take up half of it almost sometimes. Like it just happens so fast. So the series actually, some are on YouTube, but if you want to check them out, if you have Amazon Prime, I believe you do need Prime to use their video service, but it's over there as well. And it seems like all of them are over there. One total season, and it looks like 19 total episodes, of which I didn't even realize that I'm on episode 14.
Oh, jeez. Okay, I think I only watched, I want to say the first 3?
Yeah. You kind of... This is one of those shows, Brad mentions it a lot, but we talk about a lot on this show. Shows that are just easy to have on in the background. I would almost argue this is not, because everything is resolved in 120 seconds.
Yeah, like that's something you could say, like, oh yeah, you could just have this on and go through, 13 episodes really quick, and you can, but it's exhausting at the same time. I watched 3 or 4, and I was like, all right, I get the point. I need a break now. I can't just, there's like too much happening and so much thrown at you that you're just kind of like, you can't digest it all. And like, I don't know what to describe it as, but it's like, it's watching like, I want to say like fail videos or something on YouTube. And like, you can watch them for a while, but at some point you're just like, I'm good for a little bit.
For all the people that worked on the show, he's not saying it's the equivalent of quality. It's just like the feeling of
yeah.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, it's like eating candy, right? You could only have so much before you're like, I'll come back to this.
Yeah, I think we'll get into this a little bit more, but it's like because it's like, intro, conflict resolution done in 2 minutes, 3 minutes sometimes or whatever. It can feel a little bit jarring. There were times when maybe it's just the short attention span or whatever, and that's probably why the show was made the way it was. But sort of there were times when I felt like I turned away for a second and it was resolved, and I was like, wait, what? So that kind of happened.
You got distracted in the 2-minute episode, and you're like, oh, it's over. Oh, okay.
Grandma's Cats is literally a show to see how distracted you are, is really what it's there for. It's a training series.
But you know what's going to happen. So really, once you see what the cats are about to do, their like plot point of trying to kill Grandma, she's not going to die. So you could already skip the like second half of the episode.
So what you're saying is Grandma made it this far already.
Yeah, she's good.
She's good. So the series, Grandma's Cats Are Trying to Kill Her, created by Danica Parry. I mentioned earlier, 2015 series. I actually don't know that they put all of these out at once. Actually, dude, I think we came across this last year at some point. Maybe just found a clip of it or something like that and didn't know it was a whole series. So it was actually, interestingly enough, produced by Psyop, or at Psyop. And Psyop is a company that, if you're not familiar, we're familiar in this space that we work in because they're actually typically doing a bunch of advertisements. They have some of the coolest, sometimes weirdest work in the industry, and they're definitely one of the companies that people look up to. And it was actually their first foray into original programming, just being known mostly for marketing and commercial kind of projects. The animation was done by Powerhouse Animation, and this was all in partnership with DreamworksTV, which, as far as I can tell, is an episode of a series. Like DreamworksTV was a series that was basically sponsored by DreamWorks, where they would take 6 unique cartoons from like YouTube style shows and premiere them here. So in that case, it makes sense why it's so short, right? it would show up like a Kablam or like in Oh Yeah cartoons, where you'd only get a tiny bit of time to do that. I did, if you guys check out the show notes at toontalkweekly.com, over there with this post, I did find, actually over on Behance, which is just an art site, people post like some of their art and animation and that kind of thing. Someone actually posted a really cool gallery of a lot of the character designs and some of the behind the scenes process in making the art for this show. And I think that stuff's really cool, because sometimes even for a cool show, you don't get all the character sheets. I guess it's more popular these days, right? Just everything's digital, so people share that stuff. But seeing what became the grandma and what became the little boy is kind of fun to see how they did that. So check out the show notes, toontalkweekly.com, with this episode if you guys want to see some of that stuff. And I'll go ahead and tweet that out too with the episode. Well, if the title didn't tell you what you already need to know about this show, essentially the world of Grandma's cats are trying to kill her can be summed up of there's a little boy, the sort of young hero of the series, Lucas, which, by the way, Grandma never says his name right.
I didn't notice that, I guess.
Because I wrote down his name wrong, and then I remembered that it was Lucas, and I was like, there was an episode she called him Lemmy. There's an episode she called him Laszlo. Like, it's just always weird stuff, right? He's on a summer-long vacation with his grandma, and his grandma, in at least one episode, mentioned being over 100. So she's pretty old. And he loves kind of how Grandma's very hands-off. She kind of just goes about her way in kind of the world. He's horrified to discover that her two cats are actually plotting to kill her. Her two cats being named Boo and Clyde, which are pretty great. That's the plot. And if we can mention that they're 2 to 3 minute episodes, Brad mentioned the plot is very similar in every single episode. Basically, what you get is sort of a setup of Grandma doing something for the day, maybe with Lucas, maybe she's showing him something, maybe something just... Did you see the mini golf episode?
Did not see that one, no.
So in that one, like... It's just suddenly a mini golf course is in her front yard and she thinks it's great. So, you get sort of the stage of what's going to happen in the episode. Then you tend to get Lucas trying to battle with the cats unbeknownst to Grandma, like trying to prevent her death, basically. And typically the resolution revolves around the cats actually being the ones to get electrocuted or burned or rocketed off or whatever. Like they get a taste of their own medicine in that way.
Right.
I mean, that's Grandma's cats are trying to kill her.
Yeah,
so I don't know how much more I can... Yeah.
They do like a really bad job with it. Like in the first episode, they ordered a pizza to put pizza on the floor so she would slip on it coming out of the bathtub and fall down the steps. It's like you could have just like pushed your cat. You knock stuff off the counter. Why didn't you just like push the hairdryer into the bathtub or something?
Kitty cats, they're made of poop and honey.
Oh, you're saying the cats are doing a bad job.
Yeah, the cats are doing a bad job at like the plots are too elaborate for
yes.
the death. Like, man, you guys are come on, cats. You got to simplify this. You're cats. You cannot be making all these robots every time to try to kill them. There was 2 episodes back to back where they built robots.
Well, they're intelligent apparently. Also, in that robot, I think it was the 3rd episode you're talking about, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, where the robots basically got like swords and claws and stuff and trying to cut Granny's head off. They have a voice box and they're like speaking as if they're a robot or like this man or something. Yeah, there's another episode later where they're using a voice box to like speak like human language. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, I think that's where the charm of the show comes in. For a show being this short, being these like bite-sized sort of little things to watch, I think the charm is in how wacky and elaborate the actual plans get. Because, basically you could just have this show where it's like, yeah, whatever, the cats are just trying to knock a vase over or whatever. But what if they built a robot? What if they built a mini golf course, a putt-putt course, and Grandma loves that, and every time she hits a hole, it hits a trigger onto the car, and the last hole, if it goes in there and hits a hole in one, the car rockets forward and is going to run her over. Like, they're just some very strange ones.
Grandma, did you know that mini golf is the second most dangerous sport in the world?
Gonna put on a little extra sauce to sink this baby.
No! Wait, you got a hole-in-one?
This could be the start of a perfect round, Lenny.
It's definitely the start of something. Of course. The windmill blades.
4!
Grandma, no!
Hot diggity! 2 holes in one and 2 holes in a row. This one's gonna take some strategizing.
What are you both up to?
One of my favorite episodes that I saw was actually, at least over on Amazon, is episode 8, which is called BING Oh No. So it's Granny randomly got invited to this bingo event that shouldn't have been this night, but she's, of course, loves bingo. She hasn't lost since 80 years ago or something like that.
Okay.
She says. So they go and do bingo, and of course it's all an elaborate plan set up so that when she wins, she would walk over to this trophy, grab it, and it would electrocute or blow up or something like that. But they had to stage it. The 2 cats, Boo and Clyde, had to make it appear as though she was competing against somebody. So the other cat is dressed as a grandma while one cat's like pulling all the balls out. And
Okay.
Granny's thinking she's going okay. But the other cat's scorecard has one whole row that are blank spaces, so he's just writing in the answers. And basically one cat and Lucas are fighting over what the numbers on the balls are. Every time Lucas pulls one out, he makes up a number that's the wrong one so that grandma doesn't win. But what ends up happening is that one of the cats is so excited that he wins because he wrote in all these wrong numbers that he goes and grabs the trophy and blows up instead. So he just gets really into playing bingo. Yeah.
That's
So
fun.
there is some weird stuff like that.
In that first episode, like the grandma has like a funny song. She's singing in the tub. She's like, "Kitty cats are made of honey and poop." And I was like,
Yeah.
what?
There are some great little songs in the show. There are definitely moments where the animation is great and like the new modern type of stuff. And there's other moments where I feel like you just see that maybe it's just an animator eye like looking at it, but I feel like I see the edges, right? I feel the roughness of maybe it just drifted, or maybe it looks like it's built in like Flash or After Effects and just slid across the screen or something like that. That's only a technical thing. Like nobody's going to really notice or care about that kind of stuff. But there are moments like that. Aside from that, character design is great. I actually love the cat designs.
But so I gotta wonder, like, for Psyop, and this was through DreamWorks, like, what's the point of this, right? It's so short. It's not a series. It's probably great on YouTube. So maybe the whole point was just to, kind of kick off a DreamWorks channel there and kind of get people interested. But I feel like it just gets lost, right? Because it's not big enough. It's not a big enough story. There's not enough character development to know much about it. So there's no caring about what's happening for kids. So it's like
Right.
you need to be older and like that another studio is working with a big studio to get involved and being like, oh, well, maybe if I could make a 2-minute short, I can get my own cartoon too. Kind of creates that. So I'd love to hear the pitch maybe from someone at Psyop or something like that, like why they put this together. Maybe Psyop just wanted to do a cartoon, like we talk about that all the time here at Loose Keys, like, hey, it'd be great if we could do a cartoon.
Right.
And then maybe this was Psyop like testing it out, like, well, what would a pipeline be for 14 episodes, but if we kept them at like under 5 minutes, could we do that? And then if we, crank that up to a 30-minute show, like what's that look like on a large scale?
Yeah, and also it'd be interesting to see if, I don't know, because I don't typically watch the televised cartoons, right? We just watch a lot of stuff on demand, whatever's on websites.
Yeah.
I don't know what the path to cartoons look like in terms of what pilot sort of thing do you need these days? Do you create micro shows instead to show a concept? Or do you need a fuller like 12-minute short to show like this is what this cartoon could be? I do agree with you that because it's happened so fast, man, I feel almost no connection to these characters. It just sort of happens and it's gone.
Yeah, like you reminding me that his name was Lucas. I was like, oh, okay, I kind of remember that. I don't know if the grandma has a name, and then the cats were just, there's a fat one and a skinny one. Like, I don't care about these cats at all.
Right. So the designs are unique, and the designs stand out, but it's the development behind the characters that just aren't there. And you know what? Maybe the goal was not to do that. Maybe the goal literally was, the situation is, in 2 minutes, how can we show that a cat is trying to kill grandma, and how can we resolve that? Like funny little things, right? But a lot of work still has to go into this like cartoon style animation between Psyop and DreamWorks and Powerhouse in this case. So it would definitely be cool to know that, because there's not a ton of like background out there. I found some background about the art. I found basically Psyop's page discussing some of the creation and coming up with it, but it was more like it felt more like a press release almost about like, here's the show sort of thing. So we'll definitely, I mean, I'm not going to shy away. I'll ping Psyop and see if they want to do it. Like, tell me what it took to make this show, because
and why did you make it?
And will there be more? Like, I feel like this could have a cool plot. If this show were 20 minutes long, each episode, and maybe, you know what, since there's like little plots, they might have to be 11. But let's just say it's 11-minute episodes each. Do the cats have to talk, you think?
No, they don't have to talk, but you need another storyline that maybe the neighbors, maybe there's like an old man with a dog that's also trying to kill him, or like he's always trying to stop these cats from, he's like assist Lucas in a way. Like, you would need another plot point there, or something else in this world to kind of keep all this together, right? Or the dog's working with the cat, or just something else, right?
Or there's that the cats are actually robots, and there's a mouse in a control center that controls them.
Or they're like something alien cats, and this is like a test that they're trying to like get rid of old ladies. I don't know.
Oh yeah, her house, grandma's house, and she's been there for hundreds of years because she's super old, is on top of like the potent source of energy these aliens need from Earth, and so they've been trying to kill her for 100 years. Hey, hit us up. We got an idea. So, no, kind of cool to visit like a micro cartoon. I actually think this might be the shortest cartoon we've ever reviewed, but fun little binge watch. Definitely one of those things where you really do have to pay attention. I almost wonder though if this is the perfect cartoon for like, if your kid you're at an airport or you're somewhere out in public and they just need to be distracted for a second, but they would just throw away the iPad anyway because they wouldn't focus on it for half an hour. Is this perfect that it's like, oh, okay, cool, I got to see cartoons? Like, might be up there for that reason.
Maybe, yeah.
It would be hilarious if Psyop was like, actually, that's why we made it. So anyway, this was fun talking about Grandma's cats are trying to kill her. Let's get out of here. This is the part where we close the show. Brad, where can people find out more about you when you're not recording the show?
So you can follow me on Twitter. It's @brad, and then my blog is digitalhitchhiker.com.
Great, guys, go check them out over there. You can follow me on Twitter @Jacob Williams. And as mentioned before, we're all over social media @Toon Talk Weekly on Twitter, Facebook.com/Toon Talk Weekly, over on Google Plus as Toon Talk Weekly as well. Our email, toontalkweekly@gmail.com. Again, send us any messages about cartoons we've watched, cartoons you'd like us to hear us talk about, or any more detail on shows we've heard from the past. We've done a ton of episodes, but weirdly, doing this every single week, we seem to remember every single cartoon we watched. Even if it was 4 years ago. The other day I caught myself thinking about, what was that show? Pocket Dragon Adventures. And I know it was only a couple months ago, but like, who needs to remember that? So, and finally, the website, toontalkweekly.com, the main hub for the show. It's also got our video versions with every single post. So you guys can find us over on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and help support the show. So that's going to do it for this week's cartoon. But as always, we'll be back next week with another cartoon.
Take care.
To learn more about the show, visit toontalkweekly.com or follow us on Twitter @ToonTalkWeekly.